Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro opened a pedestrian bridge that links his country to Colombia on Sunday. About 35,000 Venezuelans transited the border that was left open for just 12 hours to purchase basic items and medicines. The border had been closed in August 2015 by Maduro as a response to smuggling and other criminal activities. And blame for a clash between the FARC rebels and the Colombian government has been placed squarely on the shoulders of the rebel group. The government said the incident, which left several rebels wounded, was a case of miscommunication.
During the unfortunate incident of July 8, there was an error of the FARC who gave wrong coordinates, different from the place where they should be according to the security guarantees in La Uribe.
Meanwhile, the FARC rebels have begun replacing coca crops used to make cocaine in an isolated region of Colombia. The plants will be replaced with other crops, as agreed in the peace talks with the government.
After 30 years, the trial has begun in the Manta and Vilca case, in which the Peruvian military raped 14 women in the region of Huancavelica in southern Peru. Those violations took place between 1984 and 1989. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission documented the case from testimonies in 2003, but it wasn't until Friday morning that the oral hearings and the search for justice began.
One of the reasons the investigation has taken this many years is because the Ministry of Defense never collaborated with the Interior Ministry in providing the names of the officers and soldiers who were operating during those years that the crimes were committed. So there has really been a series of obstacles. But as they say, sometimes justice takes time, but here we are.
For many groups, this is an emblematic case, and it will set a precedent because it is the first one in which state authorities are on trial specifically for rape. The Studio for the Defense of Women's Rights argues that rape by members of the government during the military conflict was a method of systematic repression, and it was widespread. All told, there were at least 4,577 victims and 147 childbirths during the 80s and 90s.
Military officers will stand trial, but they will be judged not as common criminals or individuals who committed rape. This trial is going to be over the state policy. They are taking to trial the head of the military battalion and the leader at the base that ordered and allowed these crimes.
The prosecutors has asked for 20 years for each one of the 10 army officers on trial and $10,000 as a minimum reparation for each victim. It is estimated that the final verdict will be given in mid-2018. Mora, teleSur, Peru.
Rio de Janeiro Mayor Eduardo Paes says he is concerned about the upcoming Olympic Games, but in a focused way, the city has been under severe security, with many questioning its readiness to host the event.
We made it simple. In this Olympics in Rio, you will not see anything like the bird's nest. There is no stadium made by a big internationally renowned architect. These are functional areas, beautiful but simple. We've done a simple games. The landscape of the city does not need grandiose constructions. Rio is beautiful. The areas have to be integrated to the landscape and not competing with it.
Former President Cristina Fernandez appeared in courts in Buenos Aires on Wednesday after being summoned by Judge Claudio Bonadío, who is carrying out an investigation in which she and other former officials are accused of allegedly harming the Argentine state's financial status by adopting measures to regulate the forex market. This would mean the judiciary could turn an economic measure adopted by a democratic government into a crime.
Members of what I refer to as the judicial party have started to develop spectacular actions and cinematographic raids. This is the same person that ordered the Metropolitan Police of Buenos Aires to perform intelligence duties.
Cristina Fernandez has pressed charges against the judge for illegal traffic of information, arguing he provided lawmaker Margarita Stolbizer with documents obtained in the judicial raid.
We are clearly seeing a case of traffic of information and documents. or the collusion between the judge, the lawmaker who filed charges, and her advisor.
Like during her previous trip to Buenos Aires in April, thousands gathered in front of the courthouse to show their support to Fernandez and denounced that she is under attack by the conservative sectors of the courts in order to smear her public image.
They want to take an economic measurement and turn it into a crime. This kind of action would only occur to Judge Bonadío.
I believe it is important to be here with her, showing our support, showing that the people always stands by her.
Supporters say the final goal of the charges that the former president is facing is to put her behind bars in order to block her from running for office in 2017. However, social movements and left-leaning sectors seem dedicated to continue on the streets to defend her legacy. Laureano Ponce, teleSur, Buenos Aires.
Conservative lawmaker Theresa May is set to replace David Cameron as British Prime Minister. Cameron announced he would resign on Wednesday. May became the only candidate once her rival for the job, Andrea Leadsom, dropped out of her party's leadership challenge earlier this Monday. May promised to build a better Britain and to make the UK EU exit a success. Mark Hughes, the man mistakenly identified as one of the suspects in the deadly July 7th police shootings in Dallas, blamed the police department for its wrong actions on Sunday. An image of Hughes was posted all over social media during the manhunt, forcing Hughes into hiding after receiving death threats. Air raids on the rebel-held parts of Aleppo killed 13 civilians earlier today. This, according to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Opposition fighters have launched a major assault on government-held districts of Aleppo. This after government forces severed their only remaining supply route into the battleground city. Hundreds of supporters of the ruling Awami League-led 14-party alliance and other social organizations joined a rally in Dhaka to protest against recent militant attacks in Bangladesh that have killed dozens. There have been a series of attacks on liberal bloggers, university teachers, and members of religious minorities over the past year. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has declared a unilateral ceasefire and cessation of hostilities. He also ordered government troops to disengage from fighting forces loyal to Vice President Riek Machar, following days of violence that left over 270 people dead. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon has called on the international body to impose an immediate arms embargo on the country.
A report published Sunday by the Coalition of Independent Figures Health Committee in the Gaza Strip said that the Gaza Strip has the highest cancer rates in the world. Chairman of the committee, Mr. Yasser Al-Wadiya, warned that 1,500 new cancer cases are expected to be diagnosed in Gaza each year. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza, more than 15,000 people suffering from cancer are currently registered with the ministry. Official sources at the Dar Shifa Medical Complex said that about 80 to 90 people are diagnosed with cancer in Gaza each month. The sources added that other cases, including children, are being diagnosed with the disease in different hospitals across the blockaded strip.
Many medications needed for the treatment of patients with cancer in Gaza are not regularly available in hospitals, so doctors refer most patients to hospitals abroad, inside the Green Line or in the West Bank, to continue their treatment. Hospitals in Gaza also lack cancer diagnostic and radiological devices.
Al-Wadiya urged all concerned parties to reveal other factors that may have contributed to such dangerous rates of cancers in the Gaza Strip, aside from pollution caused by Israel's use of internationally prohibited weapons during its previous wars against the coastal region. Nuharzin, teleSur TV, Gaza.
Thousands of fans lined the streets of Portuguese capital Lisbon to greet their returning football heroes, who beat France 1-0 in the final of Euro 2016. The team met with President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, who honored them with an award for distinguished acts of public service.